Right, in London now. Logged in and checked in at the accommodation, and the accommodation is absolutely amazing. It's called Simon's Lodge, and in essence, it is somewhere where outpatients who are having to travel and have a series of meetings over a few days, like I did, meetings, maybe not the right word, appointments, they basically put them up free of charge, supplied with the food, rather than put them into a hospital bed, which obviously uses up valuable space from their point of view. So it was an excellent facility, very basic. Don't get me wrong; it's not, we're not talking about posh. But when I got into my room, I looked out. That was incredible. This is where I had a full spectre of the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, and various other buildings, which, I'm not a Londoner, so I don't, or a tourist, so I don't really know exactly what they were. There was Westminster Bridge going over from me, and below me was the gardens, I presume part of the hospital gardens. But the nice thing there was, as I said on the previous episode, there were people taking photographs, doing various things. There appeared to be a little tiny section of it that had been turned into a food garden. The people were coming after having got married to have photographs in this. There was some architecture, some sculptures. It was a beautiful place. So I had this incredible view from my room for a couple of nights. And as I say, if you were gone into a hotel with that sort of room, that would have been a VIP room facing that sort of view. So, top notch to St Thomas's Hospital. Right. So I logged in there, got in there, and by I think it was 2 o'clock, I had a pre-op assessment to undergo with a nurse actually in the same building I was with the accommodation. So it was go downstairs, register on the reception. Lovely people. I like anybody who laughs at my jokes. So yeah, they were nice people on the reception. Then I got to just do the normal thing of sitting in the waiting area and wait and wait. But I didn't wait long because this lovely girl comes up to me and sort of says, "Mr. Ayres," what she called the name, and I stepped forward, yeah. And I said yes, and she sort of says, I sat down beside me and started talking and explaining what she was there for. Basically, she's a medical researcher, and it turns out that with the problem I had, which was an esophagus cancer, um, they're investigating whether or not this esophagus cancer gives off cells, which, because you're breathing in and out and so forth from there, and whether or not it can be detected. Um, and that's, I sort of said, "Oh, that's incredible." Yes, I mean, it's once you tell me it, I mean, it's obvious that there could be something there that could be detected, and they wanted to use it for early detection, so that you just breathe in here and bang, they check it and say, "No, you're clear," and so forth. Very simple. And she said, "Would like you to be involved in that," which it basically means it's like having half a dozen breathalyzers, basically, because all she did was blow in. Oh, I had to drink this very sweet concoction, which had sugar, glucose, and various other things in it. And then they wanted me to blow in again, and gather all these were gathered and analysed the content, so as to find out whether there was things in there. I don't get to hear how mine shows up or anything like that. It's just a blind research job. So I said, yeah, more than happy, because we did that later. Um, and just before, and it just went fairly smoothly, so no problem at all. It was before the operation. So anyway, we were talking away. Before we'd gone, we'd obviously logged in with the nurse in charge of the area of the waiting area, and sort of said, look, we're going to talk on here, so just give us a yell when it's my turn. So when I got out, and it wasn't that long, it was maybe 30 minutes later, I got out. I went and sat down and waited and waited and waited and waited. And then eventually the people who were in charge of the waiting room, they went round checking with people as to who they are, what they're waiting for, and give them an update as to the timing. And basically I was being told they're running late. And I said, well, I have an ultrasound endoscopy to attend at 3:20. So please don't be any late much longer. And eventually I got in there. I got into, it was supposed to be going in at 2, but I got in about 3 o'clock. So I was an hour late. So now there was a rush, except she still had to ask all the same questions that she would have had to ask if I'd gone in at 2 o'clock. So I was going to be late. I was going to be very late because I was supposed to be there at 3:20. And basically this interview took about 45 minutes. So I was going to be nearly 30 minutes late. And it turned out I was the last one. So not, the doctors are not so happy about waiting for a patient. But obviously they did, and they were very good and very kind to me. So we got in, and I went through all the questions. And the one thing you get used to is that they asked the same questions that the other pre-assessment nurse had asked in each of the different scannings that I'd had. Exactly the same questions, exactly written it down, except here they started putting it on the computer. And I said, oh my God, why didn't everybody think of that? But trust me, they kept asking the questions. They didn't just look them up. So although they're recording it, they weren't actually taking advantage of that information. So I was being asked consistently all the same questions every time I went in for a test or an examination or whatever. And that's an area that perhaps should be looked at, because it was such a waste of time, and a time of your resources, NHS. And now I know you need to identify that the person's there is the right person there, and that they haven't got any allergies and things. These are standard sort of things. But the number of times I went through the full questionnaire were, a lot, and you needed to link up so that it didn't do it. But I don't know the details behind it, so I cannot say for certain as to why it goes on there. And maybe one day, one of my the medical team looking after me will tell me why. But I hope never to have to do it again. So not to worry. Anyway, right. So we went through all these questions. She took blood, she took height, weight, this, that, blah, 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 everything. Right, it had to be done because I was going in for an operation in 2 days. This is what that was assessing, not for the ultrasound. So she had phoned up the ultrasound and told them that we're going to be running late, and so on there. When I finally got there, they were expecting me. So it wasn't a matter of, are you late? No, they all knew. They knew. So they were great on reception. And then they took me around fairly quickly. I had to wait a little bit, yes, but it took me around very quickly, and then into the. Well, it's not really an operating theatre for endoscopy type things, but it is a sort of a theatre, but it's very small and specific for their requirements. So I went there, met the doctor, and the nursing team that were there, and started talking, and I did go through again in with the nurse beforehand, because we had to go through the questions first before I was taken into the surgery itself, or the endoscopy. Sorry. Um, so I went through and told them about my claustrophobia and all the various other things that I've got. And then when I went into the doctors, I sort of emphasised on my claustrophobia. I sort of said, look, on the previous endoscopy, they did realise that they had to knock me out first, blah, 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 blah. And I went through it in detail. The problem was, I think that this doctor had not had a lot of experience with somebody with claustrophobia. Now, my claustrophobia kicks in fairly quickly and can be violent, right? I can't control it. It's a panic attack, and anybody who's had a panic attack will understand that you just have no control. It just kicks off, right? Now, in the hospitals, I haven't had that since I went. The first time I ever had it, and the only time I've ever had it where I really, really would have killed people to get out of the MRI that they were putting me in. I don't want ever to do that again. I don't ever want to feel that way. It's not me. I just can't stand the thought of me being so aggressive and violent. I literally would have wrecked that machine, and anybody who was trying to stop me from getting out, because he didn't come immediately. He said, "Oh no, don't worry, Mr. S. He's going to be fine. Get me out of it." I used one or two little naughty words. Well, actually, quite a lot of them. But anyway, on this particular occasion, the sedation that they were giving me wasn't working. It didn't knock me out fully, and so they ended up giving up. I mean, they did. I think they knocked me out at some point. So I'm not certain exactly what happened, because I was under sedation. But to begin with, it just wasn't working, and I was getting panicky and so forth. So the next thing I know is that they've said, no, we can't do it, and it's not going ahead. So I must have been in a bad way, even though I was sedated. So, I can't. I cannot give testimony as to how bad a patient I was, but obviously, bad boy. I was a bad patient, and I'm sorry to the doctor to give you that sort of distress. I tried to emphasise how serious the thing was. And they obviously had the wrong sedation chemical or whatever it was for me, or not enough of it. Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. We didn't carry on with it, and so therefore my doctors are looking at things without the ultrasound, which is basically, instead of the camera, it's an ultrasound system going down, but it didn't happen, so can't say what it would have revealed. So basically, I was kicked off that and sent home. Well, not sent home, sent up to the room that I was staying at as a bad boy who'd not behaved enough to allow the doctor to do her job. I'm laughing about it now, but I must admit, at the time, I was upset, because I wanted every bit of information being made available to the doctors so that they could assess what treatment I should have as accurately as possible. But my next section, which we're going to cover in the next episode, is that basically I was going to have a laparoscopy, whatever. They're going keyhole surgery to have a look-see. Simple as that, okay? So that was something that I wasn't really looking forward to, but it was a relatively minor surgery. I've had keyhole surgery before, like when they took out the cyst, but this is a lot more, because it was going to be, what they're going to do is they're basically going to go and have a look round. But I'll cover this next time. So all in all, Monday, first day in London, wasn't that successful. I'd agreed to do the research. They'd got all the information, taken me blood, weighed me, scaled me, and sort of etc. But the ultrasound was not successful. So now I've got a whole day to myself. Woo! Yeah, I don't, not that I wanted it, but I was then in London, and to be perfectly honest, I wasn't looking forward. I wasn't wanting to go out and see the town, do this, do that. No, no, no. I just wanted to relax, and because I was there for my health purposes. I wasn't there for any other reason. So it just was no interest to me going to have a look around places. I wanted to be there. So yeah, makes me boring, I know, but that's how it goes. I wasn't in the mood to enjoy a bit of sightseeing. And to be honest, I used to work in London many years ago, and I visited it many times. I haven't seen everywhere by any means, but it didn't bother me that wasn't going to see any more. Okay, so the next episode we're going to be talking about the keyhole surgery, and that's really critical for the future of my treatment. So thank you very much for listening to this one. Not being emotional today. Very good.